The African American plight is that the whole world treats our history like an open secret. The African American condition is not knowing where we come from. So we're going to start this series with the secret of movement, the Capoeira story.
Oh, see, see, see. Oh, na, na, na. Oh, see, see, see.
Where is the history of Capoeira?
Okay, the history, so many different people have their own history. There's so many different versions. Just like anything African, it has, because a lot of it wasn't written. So it wasn't written down and there was no definitive answer anyway. The history of Capoeira is through the slaves. Capoeira came from all different, the Capoeira in the modern context that we know it was put together by the slaves in Brazil. So it's not Brazilian really, it's African. All these different brothers and sisters came from all over Africa and they happened to be enslaved by the Portuguese in Brazil. And that's why it came together the way it is. It comes from all these different dances and fights and games from all over Africa. So Capoeira is a collection of movements from various different African groups put together by those different groups that were enslaved in Brazil by the Portuguese.
So the word capoeira, as far as I understand, means a portion of a field or a grassy plain that has been raised, like kind of destroyed or beaten down the grass itself by the consistent and constant training of the caporistas or the warriors who train capoeira.
The game of capoeira is two people inside a circle playing with each other. But it's not just a game, it's also a fight because you can be kicked and you can be hurt. But it's also a dance because it's disguised. The movements are stylized and disguised and made dope, made flavor. Like anything we do it with flavor. So it's not just, oh, you can kick, that's good. A kick is good. But in capoeira, a kick is with flavor. Like in basketball, you can dribble and just put the ball through the hoop. But what Michael Jordan did was not just that. So that's capoeira.
So capoeira was the martial art used to escape slavery, right? Into Brazil.
It seems like that's the root of it.
It is the root of it.
Yeah, because I didn't know before now. Because I only know the story of how the slaves used it as an escape,
right?
But never tied in it being a warrior style of learning and spiritual lifestyle.
Indeed, and you cannot deny that the founders of this art did not see this art and this, or it all as a cultural, it was all holistic. There was no separation between the dance, between the spiritual system, between the way to defend yourself as a martial artist. There was no separation in nature, because if you escape a plantation that maybe you grew up on from birth through, and what surrounds the plantation is literally Amazonian rainforest, right? How do you survive? Because the jungle will be more harsh, far more harsh than your more, I won't disrespect the ancestors by saying cozy lifestyle, right? Because clearly it wasn't. But definitely the jungle is far more treacherous.
Everyone needs to feel excellent at something. So if you think about slavery, you're literally stripping someone down of everything. Their name, their identity, their culture, everything. So what can they then create? What can they do to make themselves feel empowered, to make themselves feel like gods, which is what they were? And godly energy always shines through anyway. So one thing or another, it was going to be capoeira, or it would be in Bahia, capoeira, in the Bronx, hip hop, in New Orleans, jazz, whatever, different things in Washington, D.C., go-go, all the same thing.
The need for capoeira was cultivated in Brazil. A need for freedom, a need for space, a need for laughter, games, and smile.
Another teacher of mine, Contra Mestre Masego, always used to say, a caporista smiling is a dog showing his teeth. So the smile is fake, but real, but not to be trusted. See? So, and that comes from slavery. The slave had to deal with all kinds of stuff. So he might come in the house and be like, hey master, how you? But in his mind, he's like, but he got a smile. It's slavery, it's survival. Like I always say, to me, it's interesting that I have capoeira in my life, because when I think about, how am I going to explain to my two sons when they all say the talk? Like, how do you explain to them dealing with cops or whatever, right? Through capoeira. It's that smile. So when cops pull a brother up, he comes with that smile. Even though inside he might be like, okay, I don't know what's going on. Let's see if, whatever. I might be innocent or I might not, whatever. But he's going to give that smile. He knows how to talk. He knows how to get through. So that smile is a mechanism for survival. If you were just fierce as a slave, you're going to have problems. You have to disguise your ferocity, because they couldn't have something that gives black people mental, physical, and spiritual liberation. Just like now, same stuff. You can't have something that actually frees people, something that actually makes people, as happy as capoeira makes people, something that relies on and encourages us to develop our bodies the way they naturally are. You can explain to a child things about bullies, about picking yourself up when you get knocked down, about being humble, about being skilled, but you don't always have to be like, hey, I'm the most skilled guy here. Be soft, be humble. It's capoeira, they always say, my teacher, Dale Marcelin, always says capoeira is a feminine martial art. Soft, gives, as opposed to like hard, because hard breaks. Soft bends, but keeps on going. So capoeira comes from soft. Hard can be derived from soft.
They don't see themselves in the text, but they're not going to want to learn it. So I get that. However, we have this basic knowledge. When I was growing up, we watched these shows that were showing civil rights kind of stuff. There's nothing. We had nothing. And I can see capoeira being that vehicle to give you a pride without haughtiness.
It's one of them. And that's because capoeira is, it's like, we have that in this society. It's called the old man on the corner, the old man on the porch. Capoeira is that. So everything is contained inside, whoever it is that is in front of you in a teaching capacity, so that I could tell you about it and then you could take it and go. Whereas if it was written down, if it had to be handed down, they would have eliminated that much more easily. You were saying that in the schools that you were teaching in, a lot of information wasn't there. That's by design, that's not by accident. So how do you subvert that process? By knowing the history of the instruments, of the dance, of everything within yourself. Because by physical, mental, and spiritual are connected. If you're on 2 feet with 2 hands in the air, if you can then go on 2 hands and 2 feet in the air, you've squared, you've infinitely increased your possibilities just because of your physical increase in possibilities. Your mental must follow. Also, the way the Kalunga works, when you go upside down, then you become in the spirit world. You're like standing up in the spirit world. So just by teaching him to be upside down with confidence, I'm teaching him something physical, something spiritual, and something holistic.
Capoeira was not written down in the history books. It was passed down generation to generation through our oral history. And it's still a need for capoeira today. A need for freedom, for space, for laughter, games, and for smiling.